What do you do when you recognize that the risks are already here? Your mom cannot ask for help. Her hygiene is compromised. Wandering is not theoretical, it is happening. And as you listen, pay attention, not to what Angie decides, but what she begins to see. The concrete markers that signal we have crossed a threshold, and the conversations that now have to be initiated. Things like elder care law, property agreements, and a brutally honest look at actual caregiving capacity. While those decisions are not made in this episode, that is intentional. Ask yourself, what is modeled here? Do you see her discernment with support before Christ without rushing in to find emotional relief? Now, if you are carrying two households and caring for a parent who cannot ask for help and is searching for home, this episode may help you name that moment when uninterrupted supervision becomes faithful stewardship. And if while you're listening, you realize, I need help slowing this down and thinking through this clearly, that is exactly why Dignicare Foundations exists. It isn't a plan. It's not a checklist. It is a place to help you be grounded before the decisions demand answers. You can learn more about it at thinkdifferentdementia.com/join. It's $97 a year, and it is for you as a discerning Christian caregiver whenever you are ready to join. Now, as you listen to today's episode where we are focusing on hard decisions, I want you to notice three things. First, mom cannot ask for help. Her hygiene and wandering are actually present. Second, what is being recognized? The threshold isn't whether or not your mom recognizes you. It's whether or not she requires uninterrupted supervision. And thirdly, what is being seen? That it may be time to begin power of attorney and placement conversations without actually deciding them yet. When these safety markers start to stack up, things like nighttime gaps, wandering risk, inability to look for help, you're not facing a medical question. You are facing a stewardship question. Now let's step into our conversation with Angie today in episode 320, where we look at how Christian caregivers can respond wisely when mom cannot ask for help. How are you, Miss Angie?
I'm well. How are you?
I am better than I deserve. I'm so excited you are here. Have you been listening to the podcast, or did you come in through the Facebook group?
I've been listening to the podcast.
Okay, wonderful. I'm excited that you are here. So you know the drill, kind of. If caregiving felt easier or was easier for you about 6 months from now, what would that look like?
It's kind of a hard question because I feel like there's so much in it, but I guess I would say that we had enough regular caregivers in place and probably meals and housekeeping maybe figured out. Let's see how briefly I can fill you in. So my mother has frontotemporal dementia with aphasia. So she really doesn't speak much anymore at all. She points and gestures. She might surprise you and say a word or a phrase or something. So I gotta say this without crying.
No, don't cry. Before you continue, I will ask you some context questions, but before you give me the context, you said we have enough regular caregivers, meals, and housekeeping. What's standing in your way of achieving that as a goal?
Well, I've inherited 2 households, so what I was gonna say that I didn't wanna cry about is my dad passed away June the 29th, and so I've inherited now everything,
I understand.
and, so I'm the executor of the will, so I'm still working on all of the things for dad passing away, and then now here he was her primary caregiver, and now here we've got mom now who shouldn't be left alone. And thankfully, the Lord provided a day center,
Mhm,
um, and so we've been making use of that for the past several months, and that's fantastic. But then we realized the problem was evenings, weekends, you know, um, and it's an unusual situation. I'll try to be really brief. My my parents and my youngest brother bought some property together and made some built some duplexes for rental income.
mhm,
When they sold their houses to buy in, they built the first duplex for themselves to live in. So
mhm,
my brother's on one side, my parents on one side, and they cut a doorway between the 2 so they could pass through. So now it's my mom on one side alone and my brother on the other side.
mhm,
So overnight, that's how it is. And then on the weekends, it's just my brother and her.
okay.
And I've hired a friend of a friend to be just really more like a babysitter to sit with her Monday, Wednesday, Friday evenings from 5 to 9. So, she gets out of the day center, comes home, and then the caregiver. I talked to you on Facebook about her locking the caregiver out that one time. Um, and so I'm going every Tuesday and Thursday and staying with her.
Mhm,
But I'm doing, all the meals, all the grocery shopping, all the cooking, all the cleaning, the laundry, everything for her. But it's of my own home. My
mhm,
husband and I still have a 15-year-old son at home, and we are homeschoolers.
okay,
And it is it's just been really difficult for the most of this year and still even though you talked a couple of weeks ago about we're in a marathon and there will be sprints, and so I felt like, "Oh, I think I'm coming to the end of a sprint," but there's still things, like questions in my mind that I don't know what the answers are, and, um, if things were better in 6 months from now, I wouldn't have everything on me
okay,
and be out of the home so much, my home so much, at her home,
sure. And I think that is a very reasonable goal.
and I'm unsure how long. See, right now, she's going to need help. Like, I have to give her a
Mhm,
showers, and, she would wear the same same outfit every day forever. So, she's at that stage where, she doesn't get it anymore. She'll go to the toilet, but she forgets to wash her hands. It's just lots of hygiene and toileting and, bathing care.
mhm,
So, like right now, my brother has been being the I have 2 brothers, but the brother there has really been the one to be with her for the weekends, and I'm wondering, I don't know how long she can be there basically by herself with a brother if she's gonna need help in the bathroom with toileting and care in that regard, and so I'm not sure what I'm looking for to
okay,
know when, okay, it's like, that's it. We've got some the problems are she remembers home, where they're living there. They lived there for 5 years, so she remembers that that's her home. She doesn't like to be here at my house. The last time we were here, getting something, she went out and just got in the car and sat because she wants to go back to her home. And but when she's there, she wants to be near my brother. And so on the weekends, it drives him crazy because she constantly wants to be at his elbow.
Mhm. Sure. I understand for sure.
And we assumed that the the way that we'll know that she needs to go into a facility somewhere, we assumed it would be when she doesn't recognize this as home and when she doesn't recognize who we are. But I don't know for sure that that's what the answer, how we'll know when it's time.
Can I help you unpack that?
Yes. Please.
Okay. First of all, I'm very sorry about your dad.
Thank you.
I know how hard that is, and I know how many hoops and legal things you're jumping through just to close out the estate. And if you're anything like me, it makes you not nice when it is happening. Because for me, it pushes my every last living button. I'm like, my mom passed away in February, and death, taxes, and junk mail continue.
Mm,
So it's been 10 months, I don't know, 8 months since my mom passed, and we're still getting junk mail.
wow.
Yeah. So anyway, all of that to say, I am very sorry about your dad. Um,
Thank you.
and your dad was your mom's primary caregiver. So for people listening, this is a very frequent situation. About 30% of primary caregivers pass away before the person who is needing assistance. Having said that, you mentioned a brother and two brothers and yourself.
Mm.
Who is the primary decision maker?
Well, it falls on me. Um, I
Legally, legally, who is the primary decision maker?
Me.
Okay. So you have healthcare and durable power of attorney for your mom.
Yes.
Okay. So that is excellent. Notwithstanding the complicated duplex situation, we'll take that out of the equation for a minute, right? Based off of everything that you have indicated, it is likely already possible that your mom needs 24-hour supervision.
She That's the thing. She could be, and it's like, how do we know for sure?
I'm telling you.
Oh, okay. You're telling. Thank you.
How do I know that?
Okay.
After 30 years of doing this, your mom cannot ask for help.
No.
If something happened overnight and she was alone, she cannot pick up the phone and call 911.
No.
Your mom likely cannot recognize that something has happened that requires her to do something or go call your brother. She cannot identify a situation happened that would require her getting help from someone and calling 911,
Right.
going to your brother.
Right.
She's already at that point where she needs 24-hour supervision. If you feel the need for her to be in a adult day program for daily supervision, that already tells you your scientific part of your body, which is your gut, is indicating to you that your mom is not safe alone at home.
Yeah, she's definitely not safe alone at home. And without the day center, it was me. I was
I
my mom's, you know, every
I
day.
understand it. The
Yeah.
problem is you guys are assuming that she is safe in the duplex and your brother is not supervising her. Where in the country do you live?
North Carolina.
Okay. So in North Carolina, it is coming on winter. It's thankfully not as cold as Indiana in the middle of the winter. But if your mom in the winter gets it in her mind and she walks out the door in the middle of
Mhm.
the night, she's gone. And
Mhm.
and people have bad consequences because of that, right? When you look at your mom, and I'm very careful when I say this because I'm not saying your mom is a child, right? I'm not saying that, but you still have a kiddo in the house.
Mhm.
You look at your mom and how she's processing her environment and things going on around her. As a mom who still has a kiddo in the house, chronologically, where would you put her?
Oh, yeah, that I have granddaughters who are 6, and I used to think, "Okay, now I'm taking care of my granddaughter," and now she seems younger, so she's like 4 or 5 to
Would
me.
you let a 4 or 5-year-old stay home overnight without supervision?
No.
No. That tells me that the situation your mom is in is already not an ideal safe situation,
Okay.
okay? Which indicates to me, now what, right?
Mhm.
So now what are our options?
Mhm.
So now we start to unpack what are the options. What does the will say related to the duplex? Who owns that when your mom and dad both die?
Um,
They own only one half of it? Do they own the whole unit?
the whole thing. They own the whole thing. So right now, my mother owns the whole thing,
Both sides.
both sides. Yes.
Okay.
And so, well, when she passes away, then the 3 of us are just supposed to divide everything evenly,
Okay.
which
Currently today, does your brother pay rent?
no.
Okay.
But I don't know what all that has been a question in my mind. I don't know what all when they made all of these arrangements and agreements of how they were doing things and who was doing what. I don't know exactly what, I don't know if he was paying for something else that they agreed upon, and so he wouldn't be paying rent. And that is a question that's been in my mind. I've just been afraid of how to ask it.
You just need to directly come out and ask it. Because here's the reality, right? If the duplex belongs to them,
Mhm.
if the duplex is their asset, if they did not do asset protection, the duplex is the only thing that is going to be able to, unless there are other assets, right? Money, assets, be the thing that will allow you to have your mom go to the suitable level of care. Okay. So, do they have other freestanding assets like a long term care insurance policy or anything like that?
Not the long-term care thing, but there are annuities
Okay.
and there's money in the bank.
Okay.
We talked about it with when mom goes in a place so we could rent out the units and that rental income would pay for, or Terry had said what their original plan was when, because they were never going to stay there. It was a temporary, arrangement. And they had said when they were going to move out of there that my brother would buy it from my parents. So I don't know what's the better income for my mother, for my brother to go ahead and buy the whole unit, or for it to be rented out and have rental income that's hers.
So, your first best conversation is going to be with an elder care attorney. And you're going to need the agreements that were made on the duplex with your brother. You got to pray that there is something in writing, because now the only person who is left standing to say what that is, unless it's in writing, is your brother,
Mhm.
right? So we need to find the written agreements, legal agreements related to your whatever the property is. It sounds like to me that asset protection isn't going to be something that's going to necessarily be possible. We've got a 5-year look back period, and your mom cannot make those decisions anymore, right? So
No.
you have to play the hand that we have been dealt with.
Okay.
Um, ju- Questions for you to think through and talk with your husband about. Is it possible for your mom to move in with you?
No.
Okay. If that is not possible, obviously your brother is working, so staying with her, is he willing to provide 24 the remainder of the time, is he willing to provide her that supervision?
Well, that's the thing, he works for himself and he works on their property. So, most of the time he's there, and so that was like, uh, a good thing about it was he was there.
Right. But on this
His job is
property, but how much work is on this property?
he builds chicken coops.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, if your brother is not willing or equipped to step in and be her caregiver, and she needs 24-hour care, and she needs 24 hours supervision, we can keep doing um the adult day program. But if he's not willing to be her direct supervision when she's in the apartment, then it's not a safe situation for her.
Well, he is doing that, like, I'm we're there till 9, and then he comes in, and then he's there with her, and then in the mornings, he, makes sure she washes her face and brushes her teeth and is dressed,
Is
takes
there a lock on the door so she cannot walk out in the middle of the night?
No, and I've been looking into that. I believe texted me about that. The thing that I think that we could do is take the deadbolt. The deadbolt is the knob on the inside. I think we could change that out and put the keyed kind on the inside,
Mhm.
and you could lock just the at
Right,
night. And
right,
I just told my brother about that and keep the key where we would know quickly if we needed it.
right. The reality is, if he's sleeping on the other side of the
Right.
duplex, he
Yeah.
can't see or hear if she's going out of the door, right?
Right. Right.
If he is not willing to step up and be that supervision, there's a time gonna come that she cannot go to the adult day program. It's gonna come. If at that time you're not physically able to because you're still homeschooling, etcetera, and he's not willing to, then I would recommend we unravel this and see what your other options might be. Okay? I really, from a legal perspective, I think you need to get all of the documents on this property, because until you know exactly what's going on there, you're the executor of your dad's estate, you're your mom's primary DPOA and all of that.
Mhm.
There has to be documentation. And if there's not documentation, it was a handshake agreement between your brother and them. And if on paper that property belongs to your parents, legally it's theirs, even if they said half of it's yours. If there's no agreement, like legally, we have to figure out that part of it first, because it's going to change all of the downstream things. And an attorney can then help you guys unravel that to the best of your mom, for the best for your mom, but also for your brother, right? What does that look like? Does he, if he wanted to buy out your mom, right? Could he afford it? Does he have a job that he could buy it out? Does he have the money to buy it out? All of those things, because if he's not in a position to buy it, then a solution might be liquidating that so that you can take care of your mom.
Mhm.
And these are hard conversations and hard decisions. And there are ways that things can be put together. Yes, if he has the desire and he is willing to say and learn the skills required to be her 24-hour caregiver, the attorneys can help you guys come up with a caregiver contract and all of these things. It just needs to be legitimized so that
Mhm.
you're not the one holding the bag at the end of this conversation. Because I can tell you already, based off of what you've said, your mom needs 24 hours supervision. And if your mom needs 24 hours supervision, that means a family member or the adult day program are providing it, or it's facility-based care.
Mhm. Well, 2 weeks ago, you talked about what's actionable steps that you can do, and that was very helpful, and I started that, that Saturday. My husband sat down with me, and, so I wrote down for the week, what are the things that I have to do, the most important things, and so for the last 2 weeks, I've been doing that, and one of them was calling, a facility, but for whatever reason, they had COVID or the guy wasn't there. They keep pushing me off and pushing me off until next week to call back to get information. So I've been trying to get that information.
Yeah. So based on what you've told me, it does not sound like your mom would qualify for Medicaid.
No.
So an option is, one of the options on the table would be moving her to an assisted living, leveraging her half of the duplex, like you said, and renting
But
it out.
he owns the whole thing.
I know, but your brother lives on the other side.
Yeah, but he's talked about recently that he would move out.
Okay.
That both
Him
would be
him
rent
moving out, renting out both sides, using the assets to pay for your mom for supervision,
plus the
plus the
annuities,
annuities and everything. That
security.
is the cleanest
Yeah.
of all of the options, because then you don't have to worry about your brother, and then when your mom passes away, you three just,
Mhm.
if I were you, my never to be humble opinion, I wouldn't ever sell it,
Okay.
because that's an asset that's income producing. And then you and your siblings take the income, pay the expenses, and then divide the income, the actual income by
Mhm.
3, and you have a passive stream of income coming in that you never have to worry about.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
have to upkeep the duplex and those kinds of things, but
Right.
I would never sell it.
Yeah.
But that's me. I like real estate. So, Angie, what's one thing next week that you can do to start to make this a little easier for yourself?
I need to tell my brother that you said it was time because he keeps thinking, "Oh, it's not time yet," because she still recognizes everything. And, continue on Tuesday, I'm supposed to call the assisted living place again. Hopefully, I can get the information now.
Sure. So, just to put it in comparison for your brother, I'm very careful. I know your mother is not a 3 or 4-year-old child. I'm not implying that she is. She has retained abilities from being an adult and having gone through that. If she is processing information the way you would perceive a young child of that age, too, that means somebody has to be with her 24 hours a day.
Mhm,
Because it means that step by step she needs cueing when she goes to the bathroom,
mhm,
for quality, pulling her pants up, changing her clothing, getting
mhm.
food out of the fridge. All of these things
Oh, yeah, she can't do that.
your mom needs 24-hour direct supervision or facility-based care. And so I guess the question to your brother is, does he want to do the 24-hour supervision and let the rest of the stuff go, or is he willing to move so you can put her in an assisted living facility?
Right. Yeah.
Was this helpful?
Yes, yes, very, very much. Yes, thank you.
Wonderful.